She'll get it.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Bordertown Strange. I'm Pam. This is my co-host, Jess, and our guest, which is author Jeff Provine, and paranormal investigator and fellow podcaster Ken Rahmoeller. And tonight we're talking books that Jeff has written and investigations that Ken has gone on, and the biggie, which is the upcoming Bordertown Paracon, which is September 28th. And both Jeff and Ken are going to be presenting at. So let's get on with the show. Jess, you got some housekeeping?
I do have some housekeeping. So, first of all, we are coming into spooky season, of course. Yay, hello, pumpkin spice. Actually, I'm not a huge fan of pumpkin spice, but we won't go into that. Anywho, once we get past Paracon on the 28th, we will be ramping up our scary game to bring you some super haunted topics. So be sure to let us know in the comments what kind of topics kind of gets your heart pumping, and we'll start planning some shows around that. We also want to thank all of our subscribers and followers. If you're old or new here, please take a moment to like and share or hit that thumbs up and ring that bell so you can be the first to know when we go live. We are currently prepping for the 2024 Bordertown Paracon, planned to be in the Caney, Kansas area on Saturday, September 28th. Admission to the public is completely free for people 12 and older. Join us for some ghost teams, investigators, Bigfoot hunters, cryptozoologists, UFOologists, authors, folklorists, historians, mediums, all from all over the 4 states area for a day of panels and presentations, medium, tarot, and astrology readings, presentations and vendors and book signings and raffles and concessions and on and on and on. It's a whole day full. Yeah, it's a whole day full of the best stuff, and it's free. So please make sure you're in the Caney area on that date. If you want some more information, check out the SEK Bordertown Paranormal page on Facebook, or go to www.bordertownparanormal.com and hit the button there, and you can find all the information on that. And we'll talk a little bit more about Paracon as we go along, because our 2 guests today, of course, are presenters and panelists there, and we'll be schlepping their wares also, which we will be discussing, right?
100%.
Okay. So do you have anything else housekeeping-wise, Pam?
I think you covered it. I think we're good to go.
So for our next segment, our usual What the Weird Word of the Week, I believe Pam is in charge of the Word of the Week this time.
I am, and our What the Weird Word of the Week is parapsychology. And I took this from the American Psychological Association Dictionary of Psychology, and it is defined as a systematic study of alleged psychological phenomena involving the transfer of information or energy that cannot be explained in terms of presently known scientific data or laws. Such study is focused largely on the various forms of extrasensory perception, or ESP, such as telepathy and clairvoyance, but also encompasses such phenomena as poltergeist activity and the claims of mediums. And although parapsychologists are committed to scientific methods and procedures, this field is still regarded with suspicion by most scientists, including most psychologists. And this can be perhaps attributed to 3 main reasons, which is A, admitting even one instance of paranormal causation could potentially lead to the reexamination and reframing of numerous established laws and principles of science, which is a biggie. And B, even the best documented positive findings in this area have proved impossible to replicate. And then C, some researchers have been duped by charlatans, which is a terrible, but big, huge. So yeah, that's our weird word of the week.
Yay! Yeah, I was told that we should like do a what the weird book. Like after a year of these, we
Oh
should just
yeah.
roll them all
Oh,
into
that's
our own
fun.
dictionary.
It's not a
I
bad
don't know.
idea.
Maybe
Could be a good fundraiser.
Yeah.
You know,
it
that's
could
not.
be.
Sign me up.
Yeah, I like
And we
that.
know the guy that can help
Yeah.
us figure out how
Yeah.
to do that.
Nope. Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
Yay. So that was an excellent what the weird word of the week. So
Woohoo.
for Jeff and Ken, we started doing this about what, like 5 or 6 shows ago, I believe. We started realizing people were in the chats asking what we were talking about. We were using verbiage that we've used so often that we forget that the average aficionado may not know all of these terms. So we started doing a what the weird word of the week to kind of introduce them a little bit to what we're saying so they're not quite so out of the loop.
So hopefully we don't sound so
Yeah.
weird,
So stuffy.
so
So-
stuffy.
Yeah, well, you know, weird terms. I mean, in the paranormal and like supernatural fields, there's a lot of really strange terms that you don't use unless you're in those fields or you're coming across that often. So, and we just
Mhm.
forget. We get on here with lots of podcasting friends who love the paranormal, and we just start rambling on, and before you know it, people are like, "What are you talking about?
Yeah.
You crazy
We've done
people?"
like some of them we've covered. We've done like stone tape theory and synchronicities. Uncanny Valley was a good one.
Mhm.
Time storms, the Oz factor.
The Oz factor.
Yeah,
So it's good.
it is. All righty. Should we go ahead and jump into talking about Jeff? How does that sound?
Yes.
Let's do it.
So we are ever so excited to have Jeff on tonight. We got to meet Jeff last year. He so graciously came and did the Paracon with us for the first time. Traveled all the way out of Oklahoma City to come and join our little ragtag group, and I hope he had a great time. I think he did. He's going to come back again this year. But
That's usually
Jeff
good fun.
is he just does a little bit of everything. So he is a college English teacher, but he is also a prolific author. He's a folklorist. He does comics. And he also does haunted historical tours in the OKC and Norman area. So
That's
I
cool.
don't. We were talking backstage. I was like, I don't know when you sleep. So
Oof, not very well. Well, I do
Not
sleep
very
very well
well.
once I'm down. So that's
Well, that's good.
yeah. So I'm just going to kind of go over before we're going to talk a little bit. Jeff's going to be a presenter this year. He was last year too, and we're so thankful that he's opted to do this again with a different presentation. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit. But I just kind of wanted to touch on some of his books and things because I have a few of them. I contacted him because I knew he was out of the Oklahoma City area, and we were looking for authors out of the 4 states, and I had a few of his books, and I was like, I wonder if he would have even the time to contact me back, and he totally did. I was so excited.
That's cool.
Yes. So I'm an owner of his Haunted Oklahoma book, his Haunted Guthrie book, and his Haunted Norman book, I believe.
Mhm.
Yeah. I should have pulled those out.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. I have another one of yours too. Is it from Europe or is it just from around the world? I can't think of the name of it.
Around the World Stories. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so
Compendium
good.
of Creeps.
I really like that one. Yes. Compendium of
Yes,
Creeps,
That was one of my
that's
two
it.
COVID projects. So that was-
Neat.
Yeah. So he's got the haunted series, which is various places around Oklahoma, haunted Oklahoma City, Guthrie, Shawnee, Norman, and then you have one on the campus ghosts of Norman. So campus as in the University of Oklahoma, which is what Norman's
Right.
known for.
It would have cost
Right.
$2,000 to call it campus, call it OU Ghosts. So the publisher.
Oh.
Too.
Interesting.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow. You'd never think about that. That's
Yeah,
wow.
the weird
That's
licensing
crazy.
thing. We probably could
Yeah.
have made that money back easily, but
At least you didn't have to
Yeah.
pay it out.
yeah,
Yeah.
Road
Why
man,
pay it if you don't have to?
right.
Really. So beyond that series, he's also written in a whole bunch of short story books. You wrote the 31 Ghost Stories, I believe. Those are they I didn't get a chance to go look. Are they just short stories, or are they like for reals? I
So
can't think of
they are flash fiction stories. So each one
Okay.
is just a few pages, and got started out of just a writing project trying to do a little flash fiction about ghost stories every day. They're all linked to different urban legends from around the world, or spooky
Oh,
tropes and different
wow.
things. So like the prom ghost or
Yeah.
doppelgangers or different ones like that. And then teamed up with Ellis Goodson, who's an artist here in Oklahoma City. And he does kind of a real scratchy, inky style. So he
Yeah.
did all the spooky art for us. And I liked it. Turned out great. So a little
That is-
callback to the old scary stories to tell in the dark that definitely impacted me as a child.
Those are
Yeah.
the best, weren't they?
Oh my goodness, yeah. So beyond so he's got all of his haunted ones. He also has The Secrets of Oklahoma City, which I think is a fun one. And that one has, your guide to all your weird and strange stuff that doesn't usually come up in the normal history tours you get of Oklahoma City. So it's got like the Chinese tunnels, and even you talk about the invention of the grocery cart in it.
That's
so that one's always fun.
We also
And
invented the parking meter.
Oh, and the parking meter.
Yeah, not so
There
proud
you
of
go.
that one, but
So tell us a little bit. I'm curious. Tell us a little bit about the shopping cart. I've never heard that story, I don't think.
yeah. So Sylvan Goldman was a grocery store owner here in Oklahoma City, and Great Depression's going on, so pretty deep into it in the 1930s. And he realizes that people coming through will pick up their groceries and basically buy whatever they can carry.
Mm-hmm.
So people who carry in baskets, of course, buy more. So what he decides is we need like carts, we need a whole thing. And he sits down with the handyman, the engineer at the store who fixes all the electrical and stuff. And they together devise this collapsing cart on wheels. And they line them up at the front of the store. And as people are coming in, he invites people to come shop and so forth. All this big ruse to see if people will buy more groceries. And at first, everybody hated it. The men were like, "Oh, I can carry my own groceries. What do I look like, a pansy?" And the women are like, "That looks like a bassinet. I'm done with kids. Like we don't need any of this." So he hired a bunch of models, so male and female models, just to take the carts and pretend to shop around the store, just like make circuits and stuff.
Nice.
And after people saw pretty people doing it, they thought, "Hey, maybe I can do it too."
Yep.
And thus the groceries cart.
He was smart.
He was a very clever dude.
Yeah, no kidding.
So he was the inventor of them?
Yep, he invented it. Yep.
And what was his name again? I'm sorry.
Oh, Sylvan Goldman.
I heard that name. Okay.
Yeah, we've got a statue of him at the Science Museum in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
We should have
That's
like
cool.
a 70-foot statue of him downtown, really. I mean, everybody's got grocery carts. And,
Does he have a shopping cart?
I was going to say, is he pushing the shopping cart?
He does. That's awesome. I love it. Very cool.
That's great. Yeah, so you have just released a new book that's kind of similar in fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, so similar and completely different. So this is 100 Things to Do in Oklahoma City Before You Die.
There we go.
Yeah. So that's Dennis, which the publisher is the same one that did The Secret Oklahoma City. And they've done 2 editions of this beforehand because they always want to update it with, stuff closes or new stuff opens and what's it going to be. And so they asked if I would want to do the new edition. And I said, only if I can do it with Dennis. So he runs Uncovering Oklahoma and several other YouTube videos, shows that do all kinds of stories on local concerts and local restaurants. And so he knows everybody, and it's great. And we had teamed up on the Tales Unveiled podcast, where we traveled around Oklahoma and did interviews on spooky stories. And so they were like, yeah, we do co-authors all the time. It'll be great. And so we put our brains together, and our first list was like 180 things. So we had to reshuffle that and narrowed it down. We did cheat a little bit, like the 100 things to do. One of them is do the craft challenge or something like that. But you go to all the different breweries. So it's really like,
Oh, smart. Yeah. Almost like a pub crawl, kind of.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go. So that was
Neat.
that was 99 of them.
That's right. Yeah, but we could easily just done 100 places to eat. There's surprisingly a lot of things to do once you start looking at it, like the Pigeon Museum.
I've never heard of that one.
Yeah,
Where's that at?
Wow.
Yeah, the American Pigeon Museum's right here in Oklahoma City, just a little bit north of the zoo, and
I didn't know
attached
that.
to the American Pigeon Racers Association, and changed my life. I used to hate pigeons and thought they were worthless and disease covered and all this stuff, but like they've been alongside humanity as long as dogs and cats, and been food sources and war heroes and pets and everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, we kind of tamed them, and then for how many years? Like, it was a long time. I can't remember. Was it 1,000 years? Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we kind of let them on their own, and it's sad because they have a hard time living without us.
So, but they're still here. And now I say hi to them every time I see them.
That's interesting.
Wow.
I like pigeons.
Yeah. I didn't before, but now I do.
Right?
And if you do get a chance to go, make sure you go on a nice weather day, because they have a bunch of retired pigeons living at the museum, and they take them out to get sun, and you can come and pet them.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to make a trip down sometime.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you get a chance to go into OKC for a day, make sure you get Jeff's book so you can kind of like follow along. I don't know if you can get probably all 100 things done in a day, but you can sure try.
Yeah, definitely not at one day.
Oh, we've got Ian. Ian's in England, and he's asking, does it cover the Banjo Museum, Flaming Lips, Woody
Absolutely talk
Guthrie?
about the Banjo Museum, which is also very, very cool.
Cool.
We don't go into too much detail about the Flaming Lips, since everything has to be an activity. It's a little bit different, but we do talk about Factory Obscura, which is kind of a Meow Wolf type artistic walkthrough experience, interactive,
Nice.
which is connected with Wayne Coyne, and that whole artistic tie together is good. And then we don't really have much on Woody Guthrie since he's kind of east of here. But definitely go to the Woody, or you should go to the Woody Guthrie Festival. It's a lot of fun out in Muskogee.
Oh, I bet. That's cool.
So it's also August in Muskogee, so it's
Yeah.
a million degrees, but the music's
It's super hot. Yeah. Very neat.
Cool.
Let me back up a slide here. I kind of skipped over this. Can you tell us a little bit about your spook walks and ghost tours that you do?
Yeah, which that's really where the whole thing came from. So after doing study abroad in England, where they have lots and lots of ghost tours, so little towns with thousands of years of history and things, I came back, and at that point I was adjuncting at OU and had heard the story about the little boy roller skating up and down the old hospital building, and thought, well, if we have one ghost story, maybe we've got some more around campus. And so every day after class, I went to different buildings and started collecting all the stories together. And 2009 started up a little charity ghost walk and did pretty well. And so we brought it back the next year, and then the next year, and then we got on the news and had 150 people show up. So
Wow. That's great.
Yeah, that's great.
What's your favorite part of it?
So favorite part of it?
Mm-hmm.
Like favorite story from those tours, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, which I guess my favorite part really is when people are like, wow, really? Like, I had no idea. On campus, it was next door to campus at the time, but since they bought the building, in 1973, we had an exorcism where a student was getting attacked, and so they brought in an exorcist and
Holy cow.
cleaned it up. So who knew, right?
Wow. No, that's wild.
Yeah, so that's where it all started, and then expanded out. The publisher reached out about the Campus Ghost book, and while I was doing the research there, heard stories about Norman, and Norman Visitor Center said, hey, you should come out and do a downtown Norman tour.
That is cool.
It's growing out.
Wow.
Yay.
So have you ever had an experience on tour?
On tour, Yeah, actually, at the barber shop here in downtown Norman, where we had a barber pass away in 1923, but apparently still there getting haircuts, and they have phantoms appear at night, and people can see shadows walking around. We've also gotten him in several photos through the years, but the one that I always remember is the barbershop's underneath an apartment upstairs, which people standing there all suddenly started looking up and wondering what's going on. And I'm underneath it, so I have no idea what they're talking about. But apparently the curtain had moved back and somebody peeked down.
Oh, wow.
Which is really weird because that's all sealed up. Like they'd need to do some construction up there if they were actually going to open it up. It's just storage. So don't know what that could have been, but we were across the street for the next couple of ghost tours. That was wild.
Wow. That's crazy.
Wow.
Very neat.
Yeah. It's always the best when it happens while you're on the actual tour.
Yes.
You can be like, I told you so. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind. I know very little about it, and I know a lot of people don't even realize that there are the underground tunnels, the Chinese underground. Would you mind telling everybody just a little bit of history on that?
Oh, I've had people flat out say, "Oh, there's no such thing as Chinese tunnels," but absolutely true. Which the tunnels definition is kind of the tricky one. So lots of towns had what they called tunnels, which were really just interconnected basements. The Guthrie tunnels are really famous, and tunnels all over the place. So in Oklahoma City's original Chinatown district, which is where the convention center is now, so things changed quite a bit. But folks weren't allowed to live outside of that 4-block area, so they built extra rooms, basements and sub-basements and sub-sub-basements, and all interconnected them. And there were lots of legends about them, about how far they went outside of that. Some said they went far past the river and up to 5 blocks north and all kinds of places. So maybe or maybe not, but definitely were there. Newspaper articles mention them all the time. And in fact, the 1910 census I saw had Chinese tunnels listed with 150 people living there.
Wow.
Yeah. So, which, I mean, a lot of the folks living there are transient workers. So Oklahoma City got started about the same time the railroads are wrapping up. So you can never know like how many people are actually living down there.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Who knew? I did not.
Question, were they man-made tunnels or were they some of it caves or what?
All would have been man-made. So it's right next to the river, and we've got a really high water table from being so flat here that there's really only a couple of neighborhoods in Oklahoma City that can have basements at all. And they were all concreted and sealed up and taken pretty good care of. So much so that when we did the big urban renewal project in the 1960s, where they just bulldozed everything, so cleared out all those buildings and so forth, they started digging them up. And a lot of them just got covered back up. So
they're still there.
There could be a lot more out there, which I'd always put my ear to the ground. And as they were building the parking garage for the new Omni Hotel next to the new convention center, they tore down the old warehouse that was above it. And since it's a bigger, heavier building, they had to dig up the foundation to put a deeper one in. And underneath that old foundation, they found they called it a mine shaft. Like, what are people doing building a mine shaft next to the river?
Oh, wow.
But
sure enough, that's wild.
Yeah, so there's got to be some really cool stuff under Sizzletail Park, but how would you find it?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so mysterious and fun. I love stuff like that. Like, you could just be walking and not know that how many feet underneath of you there's, abandoned, tunnels that people lived in. That's crazy.
What if you could douse them? You could douse pretty much anything else. That might be fun to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Trick would be finding an entrance.
So. Yeah, exactly.
So cool. All right. So, let's go back into your, I wanted to talk a little bit about your Okie comics, because I'd never heard of this until I'd met you, and I went looking. It looks like so much fun. Would you tell us a little bit about your comics?
Sure thing. Yeah. Which I first got into comics doing a webcomic called The Academy back in 2003, and it ran till 2013. So 10 years on dailies, so lots and lots, 3,600 comics, which like 10 or 15 of them are really good. So I'm proud of those. But more importantly, it put me in connection with all the other Oklahoma comic creators that go to different SoonerCon and OKCon and Tokyo and Tulsa is now Tokyo OK.
Yeah.
But just there's a lot of people doing cool stuff, and with all this talent, I was thinking, what could we do to like really get the word out? And about that time, I was also working with some of the local magazines like Boyd Street, where different towns have these, just strictly local. They interview restaurants and have some local history and do lots of advertising and out in front of restaurants and at the library and stuff. And was looking at the page rate, which was really similar to page rate for kind of entry-level comics creation. And I figured, well, hey, what if we did like a local comics magazine? So all stories by Oklahoma artists, all the stories set here in Oklahoma. And it was great, a lot of fun. We were very well received. The advertisers were all pretty skeptical, as they were, who reads comic books? And turns out lots of people do.
Lots of people
especially when
do.
you can pick them up for free. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were plugging along, and then COVID hit for sure, which hadn't quite gotten to that point of self-sufficiency yet. But once COVID there was, everybody's advertising money was gone. So we pivoted and been doing special issues ever since, and just had our Kickstarter for the third special issue, which was a continuance of our big kaiju story, going back to that urban renewal project from the 1960s. So Jerry Bennett, who's an artist here, he and I got together with a map of everything that got bulldozed. So the famous Criterion Theater and the Hotel Black and the Bomb Building, which is this big famous department store that looked just like the Doge's Palace in Venice. All the stuff that just was in the way, so they bulldozed it. So we said, well, what instead of bulldozers, it was a giant monster like Godzilla. And so,
That's
of
great.
course, yeah, Godzilla wouldn't be in Oklahoma, so it's a giant possum. And so,
Oh no!
Oh, that's even better.
yeah, so we have these really great images of classic
I love
buildings
it.
getting destroyed by a 75 possum.
A giant possum.
So,
That is
That was
so
great.
good.
yep, and this one's a sequel to it. So now it's so that was 1960s. So now it's the 2020s, and Oklahoma has giant robots going around defending from the giant monsters. So we
Very
took
cool.
the Golden Driller from Tulsa and turned it into a monster fighting mech with lots of missiles and jetpacks and stuff.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
That
It was
is so
I
clever.
saw the picture of that earlier today. I was kind of hunting around on Okie Comics, kind of seeing what was going on there. It looked fantastic.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
So you can find Okie Comics on Facebook. Is there another way for people to go and find you to maybe help out with your Kickstarter? Or
Yeah, just go to okiecomics.com and we got
there we
everything
go.
listed there. And you can always order back issues. We've got a stock of them, so we can get you set.
That's
awesome.
That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah.
Very cool.
So, like I said earlier, Jeff is like a prolific writer. He is not that old either. I feel kind of like I've not done a whole lot with my life after I looked at his lineup
Right?
of things. I feel kind of lame now. So he's an English teacher. He is big into writing. What got you started writing in the first place? Like, what was that seed when you were little that got you going?
I've always liked making stuff up, which I guess is just making stuff. That's really what I'm all about. Which I was even writing stories before I could actually write. I would tell them to my mom and have her write them down. So
Awesome.
those are probably in a box somewhere. I probably don't make a lick of sense.
Moms are great about that.
But yeah, I've always been really into speculative fiction specifically, just kind of the what if, and then pulling all the threads and seeing what would assemble out of that. So my first books were steampunk novels back when steampunk was kind of an unknown word. I called it Victorian science fiction. So but it's definitely steampunk.
Okay.
So that definitely pivoted toward the ghost stories, which is really where people have had a lot of interest. So it's interesting though, since I'm more on the research side, it's kind of not my direct investigations and so forth. Like it's certainly here, and you know way more about that. but I'm more on the, what's the story? What's the context? How does this affect? So like, even if we get a story that somebody just completely made up, if it's interesting enough that it piques everybody's psyche and we keep repeating it becomes part of our cultural norms. So why that story? What's interesting about it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is an interesting side to look at it. I do have to ask, it's one of my favorite things to ask paranormal authors. Have you ever scared yourself while you were writing?
Oh, all the time. I am a huge scaredy cat. Yeah. Yeah. We talk about the ghost tours and things, and like, I like ghost stories, but I do not want to be in one. Like, whenever I do get a chance to tag along on investigations, I'm ready to go. So,
Oh no!
which actually got kicked out of a investigation by the ghost a couple of this is about a year ago now. So Valkyrie invited me to go to the Moore Lindsay House, which is the Cleveland County Historical Society here in Norman, and they were having an investigation, and they said, hey, come on over. And I said, well, I've got a ghost tour that night, so I'm sorry I can't make it. And they were like, oh, just pop in afterward. It'll be great. Just, text us to make sure that nobody starts screaming once you knock at the door. Yeah. So
You're not the only scaredy cat. We all are.
Before I got there, tons of things. They were getting lots of responses from the dowsing rod sessions. They were getting people's names called. They had a figure move by on some of the lighting grid. Several EVPs, lots and lots of stuff. And then when I got there, everything went dead quiet. Just nothing. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I must have interrupted. And they were like, no, it's okay. And they're super nice about it. And they're like, oh, we probably need a break anyway and all this. And got to hang out for about a half hour, 45 minutes, and a couple of things here and there. And finally, during one of the sessions, instead of individual words popping out, it was an entire cast out the writer.
So,
Wow.
That's what it said. And so I was like, oh, I'm so tired. I better get going. Thanks, guys, for having me.
I'm going to cast myself out.
they didn't think about it at all. They were just like, oh, it's all right. And
you're like, no, that's not all
You were like, that's my exit.
But apparently afterward, I sent them a note thanking me for letting me come by, and they were like, oh, you should have stuck around. Like, we had all this other stuff happen and a lot more EVPs. And I think that kind of the chief ghost there, who's the niece of the original owner of the house, who lived in the house for a while, she was very posh and very correct and everything. So like even the curator was saying she doesn't like going upstairs after dark because she just gets this feeling that somebody's frowning at her. Because only family upstairs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think she just didn't want me there airing dirty laundry. So
you knew too much.
Protector of the family and the location, basically.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
That's the first thing I was thinking of. Yeah.
How funny.
Shy ghosts, remember? We talked about that a while back.
Yeah.
The reporter was in the house.
So out of everywhere that you've written about or researched, do you have a favorite location?
Well, going back to that very first story with Ellison Hall on campus with the little boy ghost roller skating back and forth. That's always a favorite just because it was like the first one that I knew. And the building's been investigated by numerous teams, and they've all come up with very similar repeating evidence, which is very strong. And then just a few months ago, I was able to actually hunt up the original newspaper clippings of Robert Greene when he passed away. Because I'd always heard the legend, was this little kid. He was about 3 or 4 years old, got hit by a car. And the legend was that it was always that he got hit by a car right outside the hospital. But he'd actually been outside his grandmother's house in Oklahoma City. And they rushed him down to the university hospital since we didn't have a campus up in Oklahoma City yet. And that was the thing that always kept the block of where's the further information. And sure enough, everything lined up. The nickname that had been going around was Bobby, and that's his grave says Robert Bobby Greene, buried right over here, about 2 miles from here. So
that's awesome.
Just a story that keeps unfolding. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah. It's amazing. We always talk about this. Once you dabble your toe in the paranormal just a little bit, and you show any interest whatsoever, it kind of takes a hold of you, and you get to go along on the ride. Like years later, you're like, how did I get into all this?
Yeah. It happens quickly, it seems like.
It does. It happens very quickly.
There's some really
So
cool things out in Oklahoma, though. Some really oddball. I know Jess has run across quite a few, and I know you have too, Jeff, in some of your books. But yeah, there's some crazy things like was it last week we were talking about the conquistadors?
yeah, we were talking about the conquistadors popping up all over the place. Yeah, and oh my gosh, just I have notebooks full of just Oklahoma
Oh, wow.
things. It's such a strange. I mean, there's lots of in Kansas and tons in
Yeah.
Missouri and a lot in Arkansas too, but Oklahoma seems to just have the strangest amalgamation of things that you would never think of, like weird gases that peeled paint and was here for an hour and then gone, and then weird forests and just goodness.
Yeah.
It's no wonder you have so many books. Like you could probably just keep writing books just on Oklahoma and never run out of
How do you
ideas.
narrow down a subject? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So which it is weird. Yeah, which I didn't even know about the conquistadors so much until I started looking at the haunted Oklahoma, because I'm from the northwest part of the state, and so we have our farmer ghosts and Black Panthers and stuff up there. But like gold rushes in the 1700s and early 1800s in Oklahoma, I had no idea. Or you go out east and we've got plantation houses from pre-Civil War. And yeah, it's just this, geographically, we're really in such a strange place that transitions from the hills and into the plains and woodlands into wide open spaces and just, yeah.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Oklahoma has every kind of like terrain. And then just all of the ruins and Havner and the Nubis caves, and oh my gosh, the list goes on and on. We love talking about Oklahoma stuff.
We do.
So, and we're right here on the border, so I think we can kind of lay claim to Oklahoma just a little bit.
We like
neighbor, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We buy groceries there. Does that count?
Yeah.
I mean, with the grocery tax, I don't know why you wouldn't, but
right. Yeah. It's as close as any other big city to us. Listen to me, big city. Yeah, we have less than 2,000 people. Our big cities around us are like Coffeyville and Independence, Bartlesville.
Big city
Those are the
living.
biggies. Big city.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So yeah, Oklahoma is crazy. So moving on. I was going to ask you, do you have a favorite author?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and say Jules Verne and H.G. Wells kind of together. Who notoriously hated each other, so we can throw that out there. Which Jules Verne is the very left brain, like this is exactly how a submarine would work based on our technology, and this is how you make the oxygen breathable, and this is how you do this and this. And then got H.G. Wells, who's like, here's a thing that makes gravity not work anymore. And just like, here's time travel, so why not? So the two very different what ifs kind of combined definitely are, I guess, instead of an angel and a demon, I got Jules Verne over here and H.G. Wells over here. And one speaks French, so I don't know. But yeah, Jules Verne famously said that H.G. Wells' ideas are preposterous, so that just wouldn't happen. And then H.G. Wells said, well, Verne's mad because he can't write his way out of a paper bag.
No, nice. Burn.
Burn.
Pretty tough.
That is great.
But yeah, which is weird because like that's very sci-fi and so forth. So not quite getting into the spooky stuff, which definitely came later.
Nice.
Yeah, that's cool. I always ask that because it kind of gives you a little bit of insight into how that person writes almost. And that's right up my alley too. I'm an artist. I do a lot of steampunk, and I love that old, Victorian,
Mhm.
cogs and gears, and it doesn't get any better than that old, like, futuristic-y type of
Mhm.
writing. Yeah. All right. So, as we mentioned earlier, Jeff is going to be at the Paracon this year in Caney, doing another presentation for us, and we were so thankful that he's willing to come in and do that. Last year, he gave a presentation on kind of how he got into folklore, which is an interesting topic all of its own. And this year, he is going to do a presentation on the ghost children of Oklahoma, I believe. Do you want to give us just like a little tidbit of what you're going to be talking about?
Yeah, which already have, I guess, a little bit with the Ellison Hall ghost.
Mhm.
So, which is one of the fascination bits, I guess. Also, really fascinated with little kid ghosts, since little kids are really creepy. So that just adds a whole
Right.
another level to it. And then, of course, on the investigation side, you got to watch out for stuff when it's demonics in there impersonating. Then, like, they're
Yeah.
going to be kids, and yeesh. But then on top of that too, it's just they fit so well into the historical stance of everything, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
with child death rates being astronomical back in the day, and it's just another really sad thing to think about. But there's just so many of them. Yeah. So when I was thinking about themes and things when you were so kind to invite me back, it was like, yeah, this is definitely something we can talk about.
Yeah. No, we're super excited. We always head up the beginning of the con with all paranormal, because really that's what gets them through the door. So we put Jeff kind of right towards the beginning. Last year, we're kind of doing it again this year, to get everybody like pumped up for the day before we head into the afternoon on. We'll have Christy Campbell come in and talk about being a medium, and she's going to do a floor reading, and then we're going to head into Bigfoot and cryptids and on into UFOs. But ghosts are our bread and butter, so that's where we start out at. So we'll have Jeff there in the morning. If you're at home and listening, get up onto our Facebook page or our website, like I mentioned earlier, to find the details. You'll find the schedule for it on there, so you can make sure you know exactly when Jeff's coming in. I don't have it right in front of me, unfortunately. I wasn't that prepared.
Actually, I'm working on something real quick, so I'll have it before too long.
Okay. So Pam will pull that up for us. So we're really excited to hear your presentation on ghost children, because like you said, you can't get much creepier than little kid ghosts creeping around.
Yep. There are a lot.
Yeah. Jeff is also a vendor. He always brings books and stuff with him for sale. And the great thing about the Paracon is we kind of started this not so much for the public's benefit, but for our benefit. It's more or less a way for all of us in the supernatural fields across the board to get together and do some networking and kind of learn from each other and make new friends and acquaintances. It's like a one-day retreat for all of us to get together and just be as nerdy as we want to be.
It's a very good way to put it.
Exactly, right? So we push that our speakers and our panelists and our presenters to be open and ready to talk to the public. This isn't a normal Paracon where you are kept far away from the speakers as if they have like they go back to the green room and you don't see them again until they're up on the panel again, and you get to applaud and ask one question and that's it. You can walk up to anybody at our Paracon and chat with them and tell them your stories. And Jeff will be there selling some of his books, and he very kindly signs them also, if I recall correctly. Tell him your stories and ask any questions you have. Do you know which books you're gonna?
Yeah.
Do you know which books you're gonna bring with you this time to have for sale?
Oh, I'm gonna bring everything.
Excellent!
The trunk I'm gonna bring up, so we'll have
Yay!
All the Norman, Oklahoma City, Garfield County, where I grew up outside of Enid, Shawnee, and Guthrie, and what's the one I'm missing? Oh, two for Norman. Yep. As
Yep.
well as the 31 Ghost Stories and Compendium of Creeps and
Cool.
Secret and 100 Things to Do in Oklahoma City too.
Excellent.
That's fantastic. Yeah, come and check out his. Are you going to
They're
have your
really
new book
good.
with you?
Oh yes, of course. Oh yeah.
Awesome. We
Sweet.
should actually do it up as like a book signing type of situation
That would be fun.
where
Yeah.
we can make it
That'd be
kind of
great.
part of the day. We'll give you an official book signing kind of like area or slot there.
Cool.
We'll have to put it into our stuff for you since you've got this new book out.
Start
Okay.
promoting
Heck
it.
yeah, we push our authors. We will have several other authors there too. Lisa, oh my gosh, Lisa Martin from Dark Ozarks. She's the one that's written all those great books on like Ghosts of the Civil War, and
Seems
oh
like
my
she
gosh,
did one
all
on
the craziness.
Carthage. And, yeah.
Yeah, all the craziness that happens in
Joplin.
the Ozarks. She'll be there with her books, and she will sign for you too. And then we have Brooke Montoya there. But did she write about Atchison?
Yeah, Haunted Atchison.
Haunted Atchison.
Mhm.
Robert Prevost going to be there. He wrote about
Monstrous
the
Arkansas.
cryptids. Yeah, Monstrous
Mhm.
Arkansas. I'm thinking we have one other, but I can't remember.
Brian Terrell. He I don't know I don't know how many books he will have there. Brian unfortunately had to switch gears on us, but we'll have to find out. I have to get with Scott and find out.
Yeah.
On that.
Brian wrote Cryptozoology 101 in Oklahoma. He gives classes, and I think he'll have some books there. He got called away last minute, but I believe his books will be there, and most of the
It's
Red
his
Dirt
intention. I know
crew,
that. Yeah.
will be there. So, but yeah, like I said, so much fun there, and go up to everybody's tables, get signed books and stuff, and visit, and it's always a hoot and a half.
Oh yeah, definitely share your stories. I love hearing people's stories. Well, I mean, that's what we're doing in the first place. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's fun.
Exactly.
Everybody does really seems to open up enough to share. I remember our very first Paracon that we had. It was just us in the local library, and we're all sitting at the table, like just waiting on people to come in. So excited. And not very
I think we
many
had like
came
8
in.
people, 8 people all day. Well, we were only there for a couple of hours.
Though. Yeah, we got some stories. So we were like, oh, we got to do this again. Yeah, it was great. I did. Yes, I did pull the actual flyer. This one is the updated one, Jess.
Okay.
So it's, I was going to tell you, I fixed that.
Okay.
We had a few little changes on it so far. Christy Campbell, she's going to be doing the Growing Up Psychic Medium. And she's also now going to do an open room reading, which we're really excited about, for like a half an hour. And then she will have her booth out in the main lobby where she will still offer readings and things.
Wow.
And and then Jim Gray, he's going to have a little bit longer. He was having to cut back his presentation pretty severely, but we ended up being able to give him a little bit more time. He's a great guy. I can't wait for everybody to get to meet him.
Yeah. Actually, the part that he was going to have to cut that he now can put back in again is like the best part of the presentation. He is kind of a curator of a collection of 1940s, 50s, and 60s UFO memorabilia from a collector. Wow. And it's kind of the prime time for that UFO stuff, and just the most fantastic artwork and writings and stuff like that. And along with this collection, it also came along with reel-to-reel tapes, recordings,
boxes and boxes.
Of people giving their UFO experiences from that time. So that's that fun, old, scratchy, mid-range sounding reel-to-reel interviews of people giving their UFO experiences. And he actually plays a few of them for you in his presentation.
Yeah, there's been, it's very cool.
We're super excited.
Yeah,
he's going to get
totally
to play
stoked.
those. So, So, okay. We're kind of coming down to the end of the hour here with Jeff. I'm hoping Jeff is going to stick around for Ken's side of things and ask questions and hang out with us, and stay for the notebook game at the end. But before we kind of
Absolutely.
finish up on you a little bit, can you remind everybody, like, where's the best place to get your books, except besides the Paracon? And how do people go and find your haunted tours?
Yeah, I've got everything at jeffprovine.com. So try to make it really
Okay.
easy. We've got links to the tours up at the top. Got all the books listed down there. And wherever you get the book, I'm always happy to sign it.
Yay.
That's good
Yay.
times.
Yeah, I messed up last year. I was going to bring in my books and have you sign them, but I got so crazy busy I didn't get a chance to do it.
I know. I've
I
got one
get it.
signed and one not. So
What I
yeah.
need to do is go buy the other books I don't have of yours yet and have you sign those. And then I can say I have signed Jeff Provine books. And then I can sell them for billions on eBay later when you're super famous.
Right?
Sounds good to me.
Absolutely. It won't be long at all.
Awesome.
For sure.
All right. Well, stick around with us, Jeff, and feel free to ask questions and stuff. We're probably going to move over to Ken now. I'm going to bleep out really fast and go run and grab my drink. So I'm going to let Pam take over. Okay. I'll be right back.
Yay. And next up is Ken Rahmoeller. He is from St. Louis, Missouri. He is a paranormal investigator. He is one of the founding members of Monster. Help me. Monster Paranormal. Good grief. I was like, oh no, I forgot what it was. Yeah. Oh, and it's right there in front of me too. Wow. And Ken is also one of the co-hosts with me on Amok Paranormal podcast. He's the Missouri portion of Amok. So Ken, tell us a little bit about yourself. How long have you been doing what you do?
Oh, let's see. I started, I guess, when I was a child, not really into the paranormal itself, but I remember probably from about the age of 5 on, sitting there with my dad, waiting for him to come home after work, after his second job, and we would watch every single monster picture that was probably ever made. Every Friday night, double features on Saturday night, and even sometimes Sunday afternoon. So I'd sit there for a good, probably with him for maybe 10 plus years. We were just watching. That was kind of our hobby. But that kind of got me really interested in the monster side of things. But as far as actually investigating, I've probably been investigating, I'll call it real investigating, for about 15 years. Been interested in it for quite a while, but just too busy, raising family and too many other interests and things going on that I really couldn't get into it until, like I said, probably about 15 plus years ago is when I really started investigating. First few years, probably about the first 5 years or so, just following people, listening to what they did, paying close attention, learning what not to do was more important than learning what was the best way to approach things. So learned a lot, which was really great. And I think I've kind of developed my own methodology of trying to communicate with the other side, which has been pretty fascinating.
What's your favorite method of communicating?
Oh, my favorite is I want to talk to them. I've been using the Spirit Box. I use an SB7 probably now for pretty close to 10 years. And I think the Spirit Box has decided that it likes me. And it works really, really well for me, to the point where I think you've heard a couple times where it even says my name.
Yeah.
They'll be asking me, Ken, yeah, I'm still here. What's going on? Tell me something. Tell me something. Don't just keep saying my name, And the thing that gets me all the time is when they say, help. And I'm like, okay, how do you want us to help? And then it's silence. I'm like, okay. Then they say their name, Ken. I'm like, okay, well, tell me something more. But I like actually having conversations with them. And what I guess my favorite part of the whole thing is I call it parahistory.
Mhm.
I really enjoy the paranormal, but I am more interested in talking to the spirits to get firsthand, if I can, documentation of what it was like when they were, still breathing, had a body. So, so I look for the stories behind uh, the actual paranormal evidence that I might collect.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm going to flip a slide here real quick. Ken sent us some pictures to look at too. So, can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Absolutely, Pam, and I think you were there. I don't think you were up there, but this is at the Pythian Castle.
Yep.
I didn't catch this, even that I had captured this photo, until probably a couple weeks after I got home. I'm going through my photos. I'm like, oh, I wonder what happened, when I was there. Look, look, look. I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I remembered that they were talking about well-known story there was the woman in white.
Mm-hmm.
And here there was nobody there that night wearing white.
Mm-hmm.
And I captured, this was upstairs just outside of the, I'll call it the stage auditorium, the
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
second floor. And the stage is behind me, and I'm looking, no, I'm sorry, this is not. This was in the, I think it's called the Queen's Room. The auditorium is across the hall, where, across from where this picture was taken. But yeah, this is a zoomed in picture, but I'm like, what is that little white thing in the window? So I zoomed in. It's like, oh my goodness, that looks like a female.
It kind of does, doesn't it?
Standing there right beside the
That's
door.
an interesting evening, wasn't it? And for those that don't know, the Pythian Castle is in Springfield, Missouri. And we went there as a team with the Muck podcast members. Was it November last year?
I believe it
November,
was.
December, somewhere in there.
Yep.
It's a really cool place.
It's huge.
Mm-hmm. That's somewhere I would love to go back again.
Yeah, and the stairwells. I mean, if you want some exercise, just going up the stairwells one time, and you'll probably be fit for life.
That is so true.
There's like about, what, 40 stairs maybe?
Oh, goodness. Yeah, at least.
At least going up to the upstairs. I mean, the ceilings are like 20 feet high.
Yeah, and then you still had the basement to go down in as well.
Had the basement, which was still 20 feet high. So it was a really cool place. But yes, this was the Pythian Castle. I didn't capture any photos, but again, across the hall from where I'm standing taking this picture, there's a small hallway. The stairwell is there, and then the I don't know what you'd call it back there. What would you call it? Like a stage. There's a stage back there, and there's a bunch of pews. It could have been used for a chapel or something too. But
yeah, that's
several of us were sitting in there, and all of a sudden, we had what's called the shadow detector, basically green dots on the wall, and all of a sudden, those green dots started flickering in the middle of the room, and started changing colors. We're like, that almost looks like fairies flitting around. So
yeah, it was weird.
We couldn't figure out what the heck was causing it, but and we knew that they weren't fireflies because these were reds and purples and.
I missed that, but I got to hear right when that happened. But
it was really amazing. I think Adrian was in the room with us.
Maybe, yeah.
They had just come in. I think right after that happened, and I think that's when I don't know, whoever was with us decided to take a nosedive in the between one
Mark.
Mark, that's who it was. Yeah,
yes.
And
that was so weird.
But it was so weird because I actually saw a shadow run between the three of them and kind of nudge like with the shoulder, and Mark went flying into the onto the floor in between the chairs. I'm like,
I was there when that happened, and I was like a little bit across from Mark, and yeah, something did come up there, and Ken was like, there's something coming this way, and before he even finished saying it, Mark's over and on the ground. Yeah.
Flying to my right, just in front of me.
It was crazy.
So, yeah. But that Pythian Castle was really, really interesting place. And I think that's probably my fourth or fifth time I was there. And I would go back in a heartbeat. They're, the group that I usually go with, they usually have an event there 3 times a year, but I was going to go in November, but I think they just sold out about 2 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
That's wild.
it's a cool place.
So, out of all the places that you've investigated, and Ken, you have investigated more places than anyone I personally know, and I think it's fantastic. Do you have a favorite?
I have a few. I used to do a lot of stuff at the Lemp Mansion. That's been kind of
Mhm.
a hiatus for a while. Also in downtown St. Louis. Done a lot of things up in Mineral Springs, up in the Alton area. Great place.
Yeah.
I just found out today that they are going to close it
They're
to
closing it.
investigators. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, Troy just posted that this morning. I'm like,
Yep.
oh my gosh, it's
Oh.
horrible. So
Yeah.
it's a great place. They're going to have a few more opportunities, I think, in the next month or two. But after that,
Yeah.
nope, it's done. So I
He
like
actually
that.
sold it.
Oh,
I'm
they
sorry?
didn't? No.
Yeah, I was chatting with him when I saw it too, and they actually sold it, and he was hoping to do some kind of a joint thing where he could still kind of bring in and maybe like cut them in on that, some of the tours and things, and they just were not having it. So
Yeah.
whoever bought it is going to flip it and turn it into something else. So
That's sad.
unfortunately, yeah,
Maybe someday it'll come back.
hopefully.
Maybe, but who knows? I'm guessing Troy's going to keep his shop there, though. The haunted oddities, I think it's called.
Mm.
The museum.
Yeah, I think he's moving it actually. Is
Oh,
what's happening. So,
I gotcha. Okay.
yeah, if you are all in the St. Louis area in the next few months, go and take a haunted tour of the Mineral Springs because that place is amazing and crazy. Especially down in the pool area. I've had some crazy stuff happen to me down there. It's
That makes me
nutty.
so sad because there's no
Yeah.
way I'm going to make it before then.
A pool, sub basement, the banquet
Yay.
room,
Mhm.
even upstairs, second floor, Pearl's room. I've had a lot. I've probably investigated there over the past 15 years or so. I would say at least 40 or 50 times. But it's just like what do you guys want to do tonight? Oh, I don't know. I wonder if they got any tours open. Sure, let's go. So we would just do it, and they got
That's
to know us
amazing.
so well. We would just wander around and we'd be sitting
Yeah.
in rooms by ourselves and the tour would be going on. It was awesome. Yeah, we had a great time.
Okay, so
But
don't
anyway,
interrupt.
no,
Yeah,
no,
we got to stop for a second. There's a cat.
have-
You
we
got to
have a
tell us, Jeff.
We have a new cat on. This is not our first cat on live,
Oh.
but who is this?
This is Moss.
Oh,
Hi, Moss.
She
it's very
is
nice to meet you, Moss.
about 12 years old.
So
and is an
adorable.
old, trying to think what's a nice word. Crone, I guess.
A crone.
She is very opinionated, and you do not disagree with her opinions.
Ah,
So
well, that's
That is
okay.
hilarious.
When I bleeped off a little while ago, not only was I getting my tea, but I was kicking my daughter's cat out, Bronwyn, because she almost unplugged the Wi-Fi from my laptop.
oh no.
oh goodness.
Yeah, because I hardline it when we go live, so it won't bleep out on me. And her tail was gathering the cord up, and I was like, no. But yes, all kitties are welcome on our podcast.
Yay.
All right. No catastrophes though, right?
Ugh.
What?
Well,
If
I
you guys notice, I've got headphones again and my soundboard's back up because I just figured out why mine wasn't working. It's because my son's cat had chewed through one of my cords in my soundboard. So, yay. But they have moved. He got a job. So he's not here anymore. No more Stewie.
Gotcha.
All right.
I think I'm sorry. The other place that I really I've only been there once. I've been to the outside probably 3 or 4 times, but the inside on tours in the afternoon for a few hours, and then also for about a 6-hour or 8-hour, whatever it was, investigation was the Ohio State Reformatory
Oh.
in Mansfield, Ohio. That I think was probably one of the most fascinating and active places that I have ever been. And I have just probably several stories from there that, we're talking about, encountering people from the past, several hundred years ago, and them showing themselves to us and helping that person get unstuck from the ground before the prison was even built. So it was amazing. So it's a whole story. I don't even want to go into that one tonight, but
that is an incredible place, though.
It really, really is. I mean,
and that, for those that don't know, that is where Shawshank Redemption was filmed.
Correct, and a lot of the symbolism and all that still there. The etching.
Red was here.
Yeah, exactly. So those are all there. It was an amazing place. Absolutely
so
amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, we'll talk about that another time as far as what actually happened there, because all I can tell you is that I ended up crying for about 30 minutes, and my shirt was so wet I could wring it out.
Wow.
Yeah. So, as a matter of fact, we'll talk about it this week while we're in.
Definitely.
Because
Missouri State.
One of the people that were with us will be there too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so she was with me when that story took place. But anyway, those are my three major places that I really like.
Sometimes it's hard picking a favorite place. It's like picking a favorite child. You just can't do it.
Every place is unique. Every place has a different story. The spirits in there. Some of them know you. I always wondered, especially the past 5-10 years or so, I wonder if there's a spirit network out there that I say, hey, Ken's coming this week. They know this. I don't know. But it's amazing that a lot of times I'll go places and I'll just sit there, and even if it's by myself, as long as people know that, hey, I'm in the building. If you don't see me, come find me if you're going to leave or whatever, because I'm still there somewhere. But I'll just wander off and I'll sit somewhere for hours and just try to chat with whoever wants to chat.
Last year, I think it was it in June or July? I think it was in July. We went to Fort Wayne, or maybe it was August. I don't know. Anyway, we were in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we had a big thing to do that night at the Bell Mansion. And so everybody wanted to go to the zoo, and Ken and I, we headed to Ohio and went to hit a big cemetery over there. That was way more fun. Yeah,
it was awesome. She said, I've never been to Ohio. How far away is it? I said, 30 minutes. She goes, we're going. Okay, let's go. I'm an explorer. I love history. I love, architecture, especially the Victorian and the big stone places, mansions and whatever. Really do enjoy that stuff. And I really like the history. So that's why I go, I call it parahistory. I give a lot of lectures. I gave up on writing a book. I've been told some of my writing sucks. It's getting better though, because I just rewrote about a story. Well, no, they were pretty honest, because after I reread it, it's like, oh, it really did. That was my first draft. First draft is like,
first drafts always suck. It's hard to have a good first draft of anything.
But the tough part is when they start out with, Dad, this really sucks.
Yeah, kids are brutally honest sometimes.
But I laugh when they said that, but I agreed with them. I have two kids two daughters who are librarians, and two of them that are teachers. So one's a college professor. She teaches math in Virginia, and the other one is special ed also in Virginia. So but I agreed with them. I rewrote something, and my problem is I put too much detail, in a paragraph. Yeah. And a lot of the sentences may be like run-ons. I don't believe in punctuation sometimes. You would love it, Jeff.
Yeah. Well, punctuation believes in you. So.
Oh, yay. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, the English teacher rears its ugly head.
Oh, I love it.
But in a nice way. That was very nice.
So, like I said, I started probably writing a few stories about, 15 years ago. I've got thousands of stories. It's just putting them in writing. I'm like, no, I gave up. I'm like, I could do better, just 20, 30 slides or whatever, and I can do an hour presentation.
Hmm.
Yeah, 'cause I can talk about the stuff, and I think it's been working out a lot better. So, I mean, at least right now. Now, when I retire, which is soon, um, I am going to. It's still on my bucket list. I am going to start writing some of my stories down.
Yay. Good
So,
deal.
yeah. So,
That's
but anyway,
exciting.
so Pythian Castle. That's what this one was.
Pythian Castle. Okay, what is this one?
Oh, this is the hospital that we cannot name.
Okay.
Um,
Oh.
Yeah.
I'm in the basement of the place. Yeah, I don't have that. I didn't have that one available, but and I did not know that what I had captured until maybe a couple weeks after. Kind of, like, I wonder what's on the film I took or whatever. And I actually captured on using one of my apps, a thermal camera. It was a man that just runs across right in front of me when Tina was talking. And she's telling a story. You hear her story in the background. All of a sudden, this guy goes running by. I'm like, whoa, that's kind of cool. But this was about I don't know, 5, 6 o'clock before the sun had gone down. Excuse me. And I took a picture down the hall, from where I was, where I captured the other picture. So this is totally zoomed in as far as I could. So this is probably a good 60 feet away or whatever. And it's just a doorway with a window, little tiny window in the main picture. And when I zoomed in, like, what is that weird looking thing in the picture? Why is it blue? So I opened it up or zoomed in. And if you look, and I'm pointing to it right now. So in case you think I'm totally so world, on the left side, just above that narrow, skinny part at the bottom, on the
That looks like Oklahoma on its side.
correct, yeah.
Mhm.
There's actually a person standing there
To the left of that.
on the left side of that straight line that goes up. Yeah, on the blue, inside the blue, there's a little head about 2/3, just below that blue stripe on the top, and you can see his body. There's a whitish shirt, looks like darker pants or something like that. But
Huh.
I walked all the way down the hall. Again, I didn't see this at first, but I go all the way down the hall, and I'm looking in the room like, what the heck? What's all in here? It's just a room full of newspapers and just papers stacked up to the ceiling. I'm like, what the heck? And but I had actually captured, and I've got another couple of pictures where that person actually has moved. It moves to a different position.
Interesting.
That's how I recognized that I believe there was probably somebody standing in there working from the past. I have no idea.
Huh. Maybe
So
so.
that was kind of strange and interesting.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, but that was in Arkansas.
Okay.
Okay, now this one is really interesting.
This one's cool.
Jeff, you talked about did some investigating at what was it, OU? Oklahoma U, right?
That's right. Yes, I was making notes already.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Now, I'm sorry. This one is actually at Central Methodist University
Oh, cool.
in Fayette, Missouri, Fayetteville. I forget which one.
Mhm.
Anyway, oh my gosh, this is probably about 5-6 years ago. About 10 of us investigated we had full access to the university. I guess it was during the summertime when it was not many people there. And this was the assembly hall below in the lower area of the church. So it was like the basement. I walked in, and man, as soon as I was the last one to go in there, they unlocked the doors for us. All my friends had already gone in there. I was still coming down the steps and around the corner. They go, "You got to check this out." So I walk in, and as soon as I walked in, every hair on my body just stood, just totally erect, and I was getting so many tingly vibes, like spirits were just running through me. And so I just stood on that overlook, to the stages in front of us there. And I just took about, I don't know, 5 or 6 pictures. And every one of them had some kind of I'm going to say, bit of plasma in it. that blob in the front. That actually, if you really zoom into it, it looks like there's two people sitting there, and the one in
Here,
the
I'm gonna share a screen real quick so we can zoom in on it.
okay. So
Oh, I'm trying to click on that. I need to be clicking over here. Okay. So we've got, do you want to start with this one or the other one?
that one's fine right there. So it looks like there's a person in maybe the fourth row or something like that, and had the left elbow like on the back of the chair. Kind of looks like they're leaning back, talking to the person behind them, and the person behind them, which is the one you see first there, it looks like they're leaning forward and talking to the person. So that was the first thing that I caught. And then, of course, you see I'll just call that an energy orb over to the left. It very well could have been dust, but because the place was really not clean hadn't been used in months. So I'm not really, it's cool. It's a bright white light. But if you go to the right, all the way to the right, lower right, if you can.
The lower right? Towards the
no,
up here or this way?
Right there.
Right here? Okay.
Go up a little bit. Nope, stop, go a little bit to the right. Okay, in the aisle itself, you can kind of see the image of a child walking down the aisle towards the front. And I don't know if you can see it there or not.
Guide the hand here and all.
A little bit to the right. And it's kind of like there, but then I'm looking a little bit up further towards, a little bit more. Yeah, right about there. There's it looks like a child kind of walking up the aisle. So it's not real. It's really faint, but that was really cool. But a story we heard about this, if you zoom back out again and go up towards the front of the stage or slide down or something, take your hand and move it up right there.
Okay.
That was an orchestra pit. And
right here.
Yep, in that area. And I think to the left of where you're at right now, it kind of elbows out. Yeah, right there. That's where the conductor would stand. And he was a professor at the university. I cannot remember his name, but he was a professor there, and he was conducting for a particular piece of music. And right about a minute before that piece of music ended that they were playing, he died of a heart attack right there. He just fell and died, but they kept playing and finished the song. So one of our, I was sitting on the edge to the left of where you're at now. There's again, it kind of comes around, the stage comes around. I'm sitting up there, and I got my phone on, and we're playing that song. He is interjecting with us through the spirit box. He's answering different questions that we have, which is just totally amazing. Even said his name, Tom somebody or another. But when it got to the exact moment, which was just about a minute before the song was over, like about a 4 or 5 minute song, everything went nuts. We felt a wind come through. It happened again to us outside on the steps. But at the exact moment, this huge wind came flying through. Totally, there's no place for wind to come in this building because we're in the basement. So we had that, and some of the equipment started going kind of haywire. I had a compass sitting on the stage, and that thing started spinning pretty wildly.
Nice.
So it was a crazy moment, but just a really, really interesting place. We captured a lot of evidence, including people from the Civil War, Bloody Bill Anderson. There was a skirmish there, and we were talking to we had communications with. We're getting answers from Union soldiers. They even told us they were wearing blue. And just also, well, we saw a one of my friends. They actually saw a. Uh, they noticed that a horse was across the quadrangle there, and we all looked up, and it was a shadow of a horse and a rider going from one tree to another one, and as it would pass the tree, it would disappear, but then it would come back, like out of the tree, and then go to the other tree.
Huh.
It was really kind of it was pretty interesting. That was
Pretty well.
that was a really really fun, and we were there for um, 4 days and 3 nights. We got to stay in the
Wow.
one of the administration buildings, which
Hmm.
was for guests to come in, which was just incredible because that place was haunted. So the woman of the house, we first get there, and one of my friends unlocks the front door. We're all just kind of bringing our stuff in. The place is vacant, and they open the door. They feel a rush of air come out, and then they hear the first two or three people heard. They heard this woman go, "Well, hello," and she was with us and communicated with us pretty much all weekend, which was great. Like Thursday through
That's
Sunday.
cool.
And I know I actually saw her because I was making coffee on Sunday morning. I was the first one awake, so I'm making coffee, and I felt something cold on my right side, and I kind of, you know, how you do that side glance with. I have really good peripheral vision, and here she is. She's standing right behind me, kind of looking over my shoulder like this, and I guess making sure that I was doing it right. I think it was Friday night. We were making a racket. We were up half the night, and it's probably about midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was. And there's 10 of us in this small room, and we're all just talking loud, loud, loud. And all of a sudden, we hear the woman's voice go, "Are you still here?"
That's great.
It was an amazing, amazing 4 days there. So we had a ball. So
Very cool.
fun. So that was Central Methodist University, and that was the assembly hall.
Nice.
Okay, now this one was that's from my porch. This would have been May. It was full moon May, I think. I don't think it was last year. I think it was 2 years ago. I believe.
I think it was 2 years because I saw you showed this to me last year.
Okay. Oh, you got both pictures up there. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the one on the left, I'm zoomed in because it's really cool. I see the full moon from my porch, which is right here, about 10 feet from me, and I'm looking south, slightly southeast, but mostly south. And the moon's up there, and it's finally peeking out in the clouds. I'm like, oh, this is really cool. So I zoomed in just to get the moon, and I see these two things go flying by. They look just like the little blip on the left picture up there. And I saw two things go flying by. So I just kept hitting my take a picture, take a picture, take a picture. Didn't even think about using the video, but anyway, we don't think that fast. And
No.
I ended up capturing the third one that went by. And all I can say is I don't know what it was, but to me, it was a UFO because I can't even tell you how fast that thing was going, but it was way faster than a jet.
Enzo said Ken caught a tic tac.
Yes, because when I zoomed all the way in after I took the picture, thanks, Enzo, it looks like a tic tac. That's a zoomed in picture of it on the right. So I captured
That's
the UFO
very cool.
just off my porch.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Good picture of the moon, too. So
Yeah. That's great that you were able to have the, presence of mind to go ahead and just keep hitting
and
that.
luck,
Because if you would have switched to video, you would have never got it. It would have been gone before you got switched over.
totally. Okay,
Mhm.
this one is just outside the visitor center in Gettysburg.
Oh, okay.
I was there a number of years ago, and oh my gosh, I can't remember. Oh my gosh, I can't believe that was probably back in 2010. Yeah, probably 2010 when I was out there. I was working in Pennsylvania, and I had nothing to do, so I was cruising everywhere. I think I put on like 35,000 miles that year, just cruising through 24 different states, all east between here and Maine and wherever. But the night before we were doing an investigation, I signed up for an investigation in Gettysburg every night through the Ghost Society there. Spooky Riley, I think her name is. And every night we went somewhere. And the night before, so this was about probably just before 5 o'clock. This would have been December, maybe 1st, 2nd. It was just after their busy season, which ends, I think, on November 30th. So the night before, we were at some tin typery shop. There were 3 of us, and we're investigating. It's boring. It is boring as heck. I mean, we were there. We're supposed to be there for about 2 hours. Nothing going on. Absolutely zero. And all of a sudden, about an hour and a half into it, I just kind of set up the only toy I had was my phone for pictures and a little ghost meter, the ones with the little red lights that flash off and on. And I had just bought that. So I put that up there, and our tour guide, 2 guests and a tour guide, he had dowsing rods and another couple of ghost meters. So we kind of set them around a little bit, and he's playing around over by we're all bored. I mean, totally bored. And all of a sudden, my meter starts going off. I'm like, what the hell? And I was looking at this fake bar, I guess, old-fashioned bar that had like bottles of whiskey and stuff on it. And all I was doing, I was so bored, I was just moving the bottle back and forth. And every time I moved it one direction, the meter would go off. I'm like, okay, where's the little trigger button? I'm looking everywhere. So I move it back, it stops. Move it this way, goes back on again. I say, hey, guys, there's something going on over here. The spirit that was there ended up taking us on a ghost meter and dowsing rod scavenger hunt throughout the building, and it just went in a big circle all the way around and kept pointing to the answers. So we're just asking questions, and it's giving us answers, and we finally figured out the whole story of the spirit. And for the life of me, I can't think of the name now. William Byrd. We finally figured out his name was William Byrd. He was we were in a Union shop right there. So he was a Confederate, and he got lost, changed clothes with a Union officer out there in the woods, not too far from the area we were at, Gettysburg, and ended up getting picked up by a Union team, or what do you want to call them, troop, or whatever word you want to use, group. And he ended up they took him into the shop where we were physically at, and he was there when, oh my gosh, one of the generals died in that shop. It was like a Union meeting hall or something at that point. So, but he said he was from Omaha. He was a photographer, and gave us this whole story about his life. And then we finally figured out, because he kept pointing to this rack of umbrellas, and we're like, what the hell? They're umbrellas. Well, one of them had a mallard head on one of the handles. And we're like, is this your name? Yes. We got a yes, confirmation of a cross. And then the lights would light up, everything. It was like, this is awesome. And we're like, is that your name? Mallard? No. We finally figured out it was Byrd.
No.
And William Byrd. So again, this is now 3 o'clock in the morning. We were supposed to be done with the thing at midnight. So we were there following this thing for the next couple of hours. Well, anyway, I go to bed. I go home, go to bed, or go to the hotel, go to bed. Came back the next day, went to the visitor center. And if you look at the picture, if you zoom in a little bit, on the left side, you can see it from here. On the left side, you can see this purplish thing kind of kneeling. And then on the right side, you see a purplish thing standing.
Oh, I'm blank. Hang on.
No,
I have it pulled up on another screen. Let me pop it up, and we can zoom in on there.
I got confirmation at the
Okay, so which side do you want
So
me to
on
do?
the left side bottom, okay, left side bottom right there, you can see something purple sitting there, and it's a shadow figure of a, or it's a
Right there?
figure up to the right in the weeds, right there.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, I can
See
see
the
it.
see the
Yeah.
face?
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a face right above it too. And on the right side, there's one standing. Just go all the way to the right, and there's one at the very edge of it standing.
Right there.
Uh-huh. And if you really zoom in and it's dark enough, you can see faces all throughout those weeds. It's the whole troop. We found out that he was from the Tennessee Division. I got confirmation that it was true. There was a book, and I didn't have a chance to buy it from the place because they were closing in 5 minutes. I'm like, they closed the register, so I couldn't buy the book. But in the book, for some reason, I went over to look at the books, and there's a book about people who died in the war by division. I flipped 2 pages, and the third one is the Tennessee Division. I'm like, Coinky Dink? I doubt it. I go through there. I'm like, oh my God, the first name I see on the list is William Byrd. I go down,
Nice.
I'm like, who else was in there? It's like 20 people. And there's 2 William Byrds in there in the Tennessee Division. And I'm in a daze. I'm like, I just got corroboration of what we just learned last night. And then when I walk out, I'm just taking a picture of the sunset because it was kind of cool.
Uh-huh.
And when I looked at my pictures, because it started pouring down, I started looking at my pictures. I'm like, what the heck is this? I truly believe that William Byrd 1 and 2 are these 2 figures that I see here that said, hey, you're a pretty cool guy. I'm going to go ahead and let you take a look, and, we'll show ourselves to you. So that is my interpretation of this picture. But
Interesting.
it was just a weird and crazy story, but that's Gettysburg.
Huh. Very cool.
Sorry for the long story, but it was just so cool.
No, that's cool. That's a
Yeah,
bucket
no,
list
you're
thing.
good. Yeah, no kidding.
Mineral Springs.
I love this one.
Yeah, a couple times ago, probably about earlier this year, I guess I was up there. Somebody had a SLS camera going, and I think that was in Pearl. Yeah, that was in Pearl's room, one of the ghosts that haunt there. And we saw a stick figure sitting in the chair, from across the room. I said, guys, you mind if I go over and sit next and see if they'll interact with me? They're like, no, go ahead. So that's my hand on the right side. I reach out and put my hand there. I said, Pearl, can you shake my hand? And she moved her hand over, and I could feel a little bit of chill on my hand, which was really kind of neat. So yeah, and
that's awesome.
And somebody took a photo of, because it wasn't taking pictures, but they took a photo of the SLS image that was up there, and that's me. And
That is so cool,
Wow.
because you can see, you can see your knee, and you can see your foot in pink,
Yep.
and your hand reaching out, and then the
And then-
green of the SLS. Yeah.
reaching out, putting their hand in mine, and
Yeah,
they
that is so
they were
neat.
just sitting there with their hands folded for a while until that point.
Wow. Charming the ghost ladies.
We've interacted a few times, and one time I don't know what the heck was going on, but there was a scream that came out of the spirit box, and it was so intense that I couldn't move for a couple minutes, and people were saying, "Are you okay?" And all I could do was kind of shrug my shoulders, like, I don't know. I don't know. And I must have been in that state for about a minute or two, and finally it kind of went away. But oh my gosh, it was almost like I heard her scream over, when she died, maybe over the radio, or maybe when she was being harmed in some way before she died.
Man,
So yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, yeah, it was a crazy room.
that's really neat. Then I think we have one more. Yeah.
Oh, I love this one. I post this one every once in a while. People say, well, you do ghost hunting. I'm like, yeah, I do ghost hunting. So this is my collection of ghosts. That's all.
That's fantastic.
You
got me, because I looked and looked, and I'm like, I'm not seeing anything in this one. I'm going to have to ask him where it's supposed to be.
That is
funny.
and I had to get a new wing over there because they were getting so full. So yeah,
Wow.
that's my ghost hunting collection. Yeah,
That's
I
awesome.
I've got trophies
Impressive.
too, but I didn't send those.
So impressive.
Yes, it's very
Well,
impressive.
thank you very much. That's my humor,
Yeah.
that I am just
Yay.
Well, out of that whole collection, which one is your favorite?
Pearl.
Oh,
Pearl's kind of, in that collection. We'll do
In your
book.
trophy. In your trophy.
Yeah, in your trophy
I just
case.
realized that. I think it's we'll do you a little book thing here. I think it was the third one, second shelf.
Oh, well, now we have to go look. Let's see here. Which one was it?
Oh, my
Okay,
Lord.
1, 2, 3, second shelf. Oh, right here. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was playing your
Yeah.
book game there. So you see it? Isn't that cool?
excellent.
That's
It's excellent.
fabulous.
Yes, it's amazing.
Thank you. I
It's
appreciate
demure. Very nice.
Oh my goodness.
Love
it.
it.
I had to show that one. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my best one.
That is great.
So, but no, I've enjoyed ghost hunting, and like I said, the biggest thing is I want to hear stories firsthand if I can.
Mhm.
I've gotten quite a few of them. Last year, I played a lot of them. That was my fun with spirits topic last year, and a lot of the things that I had come up with as far as stories and interactions, mostly with spirits. That's what that one's all about. Because people don't really have to be afraid of spirits.
Mm-hmm.
TV has gotten in movies, and that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to frighten people, get the adrenaline going, and get people to think, but people are starting to believe that everything that moves. I mean, it's like, oh my God, that pen just went by my screen. It's a demon. I'm like, hell no, it was me moving my pen across. You just couldn't see my hand. But that's what people think. I'm like, no. I'm like, no, I want to present spirits as they're people.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't have a body anymore, but they're still alive. It's just a different way of looking at life, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So.
Absolutely.
I wanted to ask if anybody had a chance to read Peter Ackroyd's A History of Ghosts.
No, is that Dan Aykroyd's brother?
Yeah, Dan Aykroyd's dad.
Yeah. Or his dad. Okay.
Dad,
I think I have.
No,
Okay.
I have not.
Cool.
I have not, but it's on my TBR.
Oh yeah. Which when you get a chance to it, highly recommend. Your discussion of parahistory definitely made me think of it because he's
nice
doing a lot of the same stuff, but through older style mediumship and spiritualism. And yeah, it's very fascinating.
So that's awesome.
And he's a civil engineer for like 50 years, so it's very dry.
It's very dry.
Worth a read.
I've been a CPA for almost 50 years, licensed CPA. So yeah, I can get kind of dry too, but
I'm sure you all would get along.
For those of you at home that may not know, the Aykroyds, Dan Aykroyd as in Ghostbusters and all that, the Aykroyds are actually a very old family when it comes to spiritualism and the history of it within the US and outside of it also. They're actually very deep in that culture there. And there are many books that they've written and co-written. And Dan Aykroyd is actually very prolific on with TV shows and videos and things like that on that topic. So little known. Ghostbusters was kind of one of his babies on the comedic side of things.
Yeah, makes sense.
Which is very cool.
Makes sense.
It does.
So, Ken, tell us, you're going to do your presentation this year is going to be boneyards. Do you want to give just like a little hint about kind of what you're going to be talking about?
It's a grave situation. I don't know. I get to use that one too. I got to figure out where I'm going to put it. But
that's gold. You have to use it.
Yeah, thank you. I am using your segue, which was just awesome. Wait till you see that one.
Oh, great.
But no, boneyards. I've always been interested. I love cemeteries. I am not obsessed with them. So I forget the two words, but one is an obsession, one is an interest. I am on the interest side. I love because I actually. What's that? Taphophile?
Taphophile?
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, I think that's it.
I was getting ready to look to see if that was it.
Yeah, Taphophile. Thank you. I'm going to use that but I don't remember it yet. But anyway, There you go. Yeah, people are dying to hear more,
Enzo.
Ken. Thank you. Yeah, they're also dying to get in too, dying to cross those boneyard fences. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, boneyards. It's basically. Uh, I love the monuments. I mean, I go through. I mean, the oldest one here in St. Louis is Bell Fountain Cemetery, 1850. It's one of the. It's the biggest one here in town, but. I found a rival. It's not as big though. St. Joseph, Mount Mora is another one. But from that era, oh my gosh, the monuments, the marble, the just the beauty of cemeteries from that era, the 1850s through the really even the early 1900s, is just gorgeous. And actually, both of those, Bell Fountain and Mount Mora, they're both actually arboretums too.
Oh, nice.
And I just went through there when we were wherever we were. Atchison recently.
Yeah.
So I drove through that one anyway in St. Joe. But no, it's going to be a little bit of history about going as far back as I can to known burial sites. That's where I'm kind of starting. I'm kind of going through the history up until, through the ages. That first two steps are huge, though. Quite a few zeros after that number as far as years ago. But going back, and then I guess the last one of the major civilizations that I'm going into is the Christian side, so 750, 750 AD. And then moving forward, and I'm really spending a lot of time on the more modern U.S. And a little bit of worldwide, but mostly U.S. type cemeteries. I've got a few stories. I've been to quite a few of them. I've taken some interesting pictures. So I have some stories. I have a lot of it's from Bell Fountain Cemetery because I do a lot of research out there. I do a lecture on the Lemp family. They're all buried there. On the beer barons from the 1830s all the way through 1970, I guess it is.
Wow.
The Lemps are involved in that. Falstaff beer. That was here in St. Louis. That was one of the earliest ones. Wasn't the first. It was for many, many years until they found out that no, the guy in Philadelphia beat him out by 2 years. So, but Bell Fountain Cemetery has well over 40 or 50 beer barons. So I do a lot of research out there, and that's another one of my Booze and Booze is that lecture.
That's good.
But this one is going to be, like I said, a little bit of history, and then I'm going to go into some stories, some superstitions, talk about a little bit of superstitions. Have to throw in some dad jokes, of course. That's mandatory, I'm told.
Absolutely.
And then
we would be highly disappointed if you did not.
I know. So I'm really getting stressed out. But anyway, yeah, again, I've got some evidence that I can play for some of the places I've been, and some just some strange stories, and some of the oldest one. I will squeak this one out for everybody in advance here. I'm looking at talking about the oldest cemeteries in our region, Amok.
Oh, okay.
So the oldest in Arkansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, and Kansas.
Very
So
nice.
it was kind of interesting what I found, and some other ones that I've been to a few of these, and it's like, what the hell? There's nothing. How did you even find this place? Because one of them I talk about, my daughter and I were trying to find it. This was in Kansas, and we ended up missing it. It's so tiny. We missed it probably 4 or 5 times and kept passing it back and forth. And I said, where is this place? I mean, this is our last time we're going to go by. So I'm looking, I'm like, okay, you look that way, I'll look this way. And we see this little bitty sign about this big. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And it looked like somebody's backyard.
Wow.
That's how big it was. And I'm like, but we found it. So I'm going to talk about that one too.
Very cool.
Awesome.
So yeah. So and then just show a bunch of pictures and of just the beauty of some of these statuaries that are out there, and what do some of the markings mean. So kind of a, I think that's at this point how I'm going to be ending it. So
that's
wonderful.
great.
And it's perfect because at the rec center, we will only be 1 block away from the large Caney Cemetery.
Sunnyside Cemetery.
So,
yeah,
it'd be totally appropriate.
I almost put a picture of the entrance because I have that.
It's beautiful.
It is. I mean, well, you and Shaw and I drove through it, remember?
Yeah.
And we were having, but I can't find my audio because we had some pretty cool audio.
We did. Yeah, because it said my name, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And you were giving the history of, oh, yeah, this person over here. I'm like,
this is the Cotton Candy House. Yeah.
You know all these dead people.
I do. I know a lot of them. And if I wasn't alive when they were, I know a lot of the history of them out there too.
And I knew that. That's what kind of joking there. But no, you knew a lot.
But no, I do know a lot of them that are buried there that I knew personally.
So it was fun, but I couldn't find enough information. I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah.
But if people want to go, then I may give them inspiration to go drive through.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I will mention that too. Okay, I'll add that to it.
Yay. Good deal. See, there's your additional little bit that you needed to.
Yeah, I need another 5 minutes. No, I'm kidding.
Right?
So I went and looked it up so we would be able to say, so Jeff's presentation will be at 11 a.m. on his Ghost Children of Oklahoma. And then we're going to break for lunch. And when we come back, we're going to go right into Ken's at 12:50 for Boneyards. And I do remember last year he kind of complained a little bit because his presentation was right after lunch.
Oh, we did it to him again. Like, oh, no.
Well, he complained because he was like, everybody will be all sleepy and I won't get a lot of people because they'll be late for lunch. And his had the most people in it. Mm-hmm. He had the most amount of people at his presentation. So.
And I think you guys actually gave me an extra 15 minutes. I think it was just a little bit over an hour that you guys gave me. And so, yeah, that was pretty cool. No, I appreciated it, but I do remember that statement. Yeah.
And of course, Jeff's was well attended because, well, anything ghost is absolutely the most popular. So, and yeah.
It's kind of interesting that you got them in order to. We're talking about ghosts, and then we're talking about, the graveyards, and then we move into something else. So that's kind of, that was cool. That was good.
Yeah. And we're hoping that more people will actually stick around and chit chat with you both this time because people don't actually have to leave the building so much now to get food.
Yes.
Luckily for us this year, Emerald City Foods out of Toronto, Kansas is going to come in and do a pop-up tent just outside the front door. And they're going to be serving poor boys and sandwiches and all sorts of great stuff. So people won't actually have to leave to go get their lunch this year. So that'll be really exciting. Yeah.
Oh, Jeff, I wanted to bring something up. You mentioned one of your books had stories in there about black cats, big black cats.
Yeah,
that was in Oklahoma, right?
Right. That was right where I live, actually. So just 30 years before I was born.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, when I went to the event last year on the way, I drove through. I don't even know how I got there, but bunch of casinos. There's a buffalo farm or something like that, a bison farm, and I'm going down this one area. I want to say it might have been by Highway 10 or something like that. But I'm cruising down, and I'm just going through farmlands. There's nobody around at all. And up ahead, I think I told Pam the story, and I think I told Jess too, that I actually saw a large black creature running from east to west across the highway, about a mile in front of me. I'm like, oh my God, what the heck is that? And cows don't run that fast. And this is much smaller than a cow. And I'm like, and it was solid black, and you could see it just totally stretched out. I'm like, what the heck? And then I get there and I tell the story, and Pam's going, oh yeah, we've had sightings of black cats.
Yeah.
Hey buddy, I saw one.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. All the time.
That was amazing.
Yeah. Very cool. We are getting down to the wire here, and we do want to play a couple of rounds of the notebook game. So before we get too crazy, Ken, thank you so much for all that. That was really, really cool.
You're
So we
welcome.
appreciate it. You too, Jeff. I don't know if we thanked you when you were done or not, and we'll do it again before we end, I'm sure.
Yes, we will. Nobody leave. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out the rules because we have a new guy here. Jeff's new
victim.
to the notebook game. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain it. So as in my little moniker there, I keep all my notes in notebooks because I'm weird and old school. And have amassed many over the years. This is just a small sampling. So what the notebook game is I have pulled 5 various notebooks off my shelves. Topics are wide and far in each notebook. All you have to do is pick a notebook 1 through 5 and then pick a number 75 or below, a page number, and I will pull that notebook out to that page and I will read whatever is on it and let the cards fall where they may. It could be it's super interesting or it may be just really silly. Who knows what's going to happen? But
it is a crapshoot.
Ken or Jeff, you can choose first if you would like to play.
Go ahead,
And
Jeff.
in the chat, please go ahead and start putting what notebook and what page number, and we'll get you guys in order.
Yep.
Okay, let's go with notebook 5.
Okay.
And page 15.
Page 15. All right. Chat amongst yourselves for a moment while I pull up the page.
We need a little theme music to play here.
We do, like a Jeopardy.
Yes.
Yep. Yep.
That's 60 seconds, 30 seconds.
And then it goes to wins. Yeah.
So this is a Bigfoot case file
Nice.
from Washington County, Oklahoma, April 15th, 2003. It happened at 10:56 p.m. And I'm just going to read it. It says, I was driving down the highway going about 60 miles per hour. I saw yellow eyes on a dark creature that stood about 9 to 10 feet tall. I stopped to look at it closer when it started towards my car. I took off and it chased my car, keeping up with me to about 55 miles per hour. There is no human I know that can run up to 55 miles per hour. The locals call this creature Catman because of its bright yellow eyes. Before it started towards my car, it kind of grunted, but I believe that maybe Catman and Bigfoot legends seen around, and it's blanked out, wooded area and another blanked out are actually the same creature. I was out killing time enjoying the warm spring temperatures at the time, and the description of the creature he gave: 9 to 10 feet tall, bright yellow cat-like eyes, hairy all over, cone-shaped head, and no visible noticeable neck. It's kind of hard to read because it's written just like they gave it. Smelled of rotten eggs and dead fish at the same time. Had a low grunting sound. So that's just one file. This one is actually out of the Gulf Coast Bigfoot Research Organization. One of the many files that we have. Yeah, Jeff actually, sometimes I pull a folder of loose, and Jeff picked the folder. So whoever else picks a 5 is going to get a folder.
Inza said 55 miles per hour sounds like a lot of skinwalker tales from the Southwest.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So, Ken, what would you like to pick?
Oh my gosh. I was going to say, how about 213?
Okay. 213.
You know, that's interesting. What area was that from? Is
it was just Washington. It was just Washington County, Oklahoma.
Okay. I was going to say, how far away is that? Because we have a Bigfoot-like creature here in the Caney area that we call Catman. So that's what they were referring to. I was wondering if it was anywhere close or if it was somewhere way far off. Very cool.
Yes. Okay, so we have a theme tonight.
Uh-oh.
This page is Petrosaur and pterodactyl sightings within Kansas
Cryptids
and
it is.
Oklahoma,
Yay.
and Mothman/winged human sightings within Kansas and Oklahoma. I believe this is some of the work we did. Our team puts on a presents once a month, and we do themes. And I believe we did a cryptids night where we were comparing Kansas against Oklahoma or something
Yep.
like that. So that's what this is from. So I'll just read it. So Petrosaur and pterodactyl sightings are actually very prevalent in the Oklahoma-Kansas area, especially down the middle section of Oklahoma and across the Kansas-Oklahoma border, and then up the Missouri Oklahoma or Kansas border. So it kind of makes a zigzag all the way up. So it's just listing. So I'll just list it for you. You can kind of get a general idea of how prevalent they are. So on the Kansas side of the Petrosaur pterodactyl sightings, in no particular order, Hudson, Kansas, 2012, Rush Center, Larned, 1997, Cowley County, 85 through 86, several sightings throughout there. Arkansas City, 2011, Hewlett Lake, 2011, Rural Sedan, 2015, Arma, 2013, Fort Scott, 2013, Blue Mound, 2001, Lynn Valley, 2000, and Olathe, 2000.
Nice.
Yeah. On the Oklahoma side, we've got Clarita in 2004, Nardin in 2004, Weatherford. It says UTL. I'll let you know whenever I put a UTL into my notes, it means unidentified timeline. And to me, that means it's happening repeatedly. So many dates. I have like a little asterisk beside it, and I can go and look up in other notes those particular dates if I have them. Or sometimes it'll just be like it was seen all across the summer, but I don't have specific dates and times, just so you know. So there's a lot of UTLs in these. Weatherford, UTL 1980s, Yukon, UTL 1950s, Caddo, UTL 30s through the 50s, Allen, UTL 1980s, Lake Texoma, UTL, Tahlequah, UTL, Woodward, UTL, Ponca City 1990, and Pawhuska 1990. And of course, that's not all the sightings. It is, but you have to realize, like, I always like to use this. I call it the Terrell effect. Brian Terrell, he always says, because he's a Bigfoot hunter guy and cryptids and dogmen, for every one account that is given to the proper people, there's 10 others that are never told.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So always a good way to think of it is if you have a listing like this, times 10. And that's probably how many were actually encountered or seen at that time. So take that into account. It's crazy when you think about it.
That is wild.
And then, under that is Mothman/winged humans. This is a far smaller list, but Goodland, Kansas, 2021, Junction City, 2021, Kansas City, 2018, and Fort Scott, 2010. And then in Oklahoma, we have rural OKC in 2000, Duncan, 1977, Carnegie, Lone Wolf, and Wyandotte, all under UTLs because they've had many over the years. So that's what's on that page.
Very cool.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yay. Okay, next up. Enzo, notebook 3, page 21.
Okay. 21. Oh, this one's numbered. This will be easy.
Yay.
Occasionally when they're chit-chatting, if I'm not interviewing or something or readily talking, I'll sit here and put numbers on the pages. So eventually I'll get to all of them. Oh, this one's on the Dark Watchers.
Oh, that's one of my faves. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just going to read it. Dark Watchers out of Big Sur, California. Dark Watchers have been described as tall black figures that are featureless and often wear brimmed hats and carry walking sticks. They've reportedly mostly been spotted at twilight or dawn. No one has claims to see them up close and personal, and they apparently disappear if you approach them. These enormous, shadowy figures dwell around Big Sur, California, a scenic, rugged, and underdeveloped section of the Santa Lucia Mountains, where the Coast Range forms a sharp incline from the Pacific Ocean off the coast. As legend has it, the Dark Watchers sit motionless on the horizon of the Santa Lucia mountain range to peer at travelers. The legend is often credited to the Chamask people, a Native American tribe that inhabited the land, but nothing related to it can be found in their mythology. Early Spanish settlers called them the Los Vigilantes Oscuros, literally the Dark Watchers, after first moving into the area into the 1700s. But as American settlers began to make their homes near Big Sur, they reported having a feeling they were being watched from above. Author John Steinbeck mentioned the Dark Watchers briefly in his story Flight, which was part of his 1938 collection of short stories, The Long Valley. The passage talked about a man named Pepe who spotted one of the strange creatures during his travels. Pepe looked suspiciously back every minute or so, and his eyes sought the tops of the ridges ahead. Once, on a white barren spur, he saw a black figure for a moment, but he looked away quickly, for it was one of the Dark Watchers. No one knew who the Watchers were, nor where they lived, but it was better to ignore them and never to show interest in them. They did not bother one who stayed on the trail and minded his own business. And then if you turn the page, it goes on a little bit more of the history of the Dark Watchers. It's one of those really weird outliers. Pam and I have always wanted to be able to do an entire show on them.
Mm-hmm. We can't find enough, though.
The legend on it is huge. Like, people know about the Dark Watchers in the area, but there is so little information on their origins.
Yeah.
That all you can really do is just tell stories about, like, people's personal stories on it. But otherwise...
And John Steinbeck wrote an entire book on it. It's not a very thick book, but he wrote one. And I've been trying to get my hands on a copy of it just to read it, if nothing else, for years now. And I can't find it. Anywhere I've seen it, it's hundreds of dollars. And there is one library that has it in California. And I tried to order it through our outgoing library, and they won't let go of it long enough for us to. I was like, can you just read it to me? Just read it to me over the phone, please.
It's actually Thomas Steinbeck, John Steinbeck's son, that wrote it. And it's called In Search of the Dark Watchers.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. But
and Enzo's asking, these are the ones that you can see through the sunset. Yeah, they're the ones that stand up on the edge of the cliffs. And yeah, that's them.
Pam,
interesting.
Pam, I'll check St. Louis.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
I'll also check Virginia.
Okay. Ooh. Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
That would be great. Thank you. Yeah, Chris is up with book 5, page 5.
I'm getting there right now.
Yay.
This is on the I always say this wrong. Wabansie stone. Wabansie stone? Gosh, it's so hard to say.
Spell it.
Waubansee. Wabansie stone?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wabansie.
I apologize.
I can hear it in my head, but it doesn't come out of my mouth right.
I apologize to all of those in the Chicago area for my mispronunciation of your stone. So
one thing we are very accurate about is our inaccuracy with pronunciation of anything.
Yes.
So you're perfect.
The stone, because I'm going to not try to pronounce that again, is a giant boulder that has a deep depression carved on the top and the image of a face engraved on the side. It was found on the banks of the Chicago River back when Chicago was a small westerly outpost. The origins of the stone have gone unknown for decades, and at one point, a Chicago museum even used the stone as a decorative drinking fountain. But when Walter received a new clue of a very similar stone existing in Florida, known as the Sea Market Altar Stone, he teamed up with historians and local experts for answers. And it sounds a little weird, so the page previous to this, I'm writing about different oddities that have been found, and this dude was like doing the research on them, so I've added him in here, so he's with the rest of my notes. Um, the group uncovered that both stones are strikingly similar to Phoenician altar stones, which were used by ancient voyagers to make sacrifices to the gods of safe travel. This theory was only proven further when Walter learned that Phoenicians could have easily navigated their way from Europe to America on the Atlantic's westerly currents. It seems that Chicago has much more than just a pretty drinking fountain on their hands. And I believe they did a story on this. On what is that goofball's name on
Scott.
History or Travel?
Scott. Hang on. His name popped
Yeah.
up over here.
But what's the name of the show? I can't even remember the name of the show. It's about like
Scott Walter. What? Oh, what
Yeah.
did he do? I can't think of the name of the show.
Mysterious History, and he
America Unearthed.
America Unearthed.
Yeah.
So they did a really good series on this stone on America Unearthed. I'm not the hugest fan of that dude, but the stories
are
really
great.
Yeah. So
they're not as, some of them aren't quite as dramatic as what he makes them out to be, but he's also peddling his wares for money.
That's
so
true. Okay, Cord wants.
I'm sorry.
Notebook 2, page 7.
Having some friends up in that area just north of Chicago, I believe it'd be pronounced Waubensee.
Waubensee.
Okay.
Waubensee. Yeah, because I know she's a friend of mine. I think you've already met her, but she's from Waukesha.
We massacre pronunciations all the time.
She's from Wisconsin area, yeah.
It's our superpower.
That's right. My goodness.
And hi, Cord.
Okay. Hello, Cord. Okay. Well, okay. We actually we did this one not too long ago. This is on the Dummerston Vine in Vermont. So it would have been from the Curses.
Yes.
The Curses show that we did.
Yeah.
In 1778, 7 dead in total on this story. The legend is the family of Captain Leonard Spaulding, who seemed perfectly healthy. The whole family was perfectly healthy, but then were being struck down one by one by a sudden deathly illness. And it was soon discovered that a vine or a root of some kind was growing from coffin to coffin as they buried their dead in their family plot. It seemed that every time the vine entered a new, fresh grave, the next member of the family would soon die. The solution to them was to somehow stop the vine, so they took up the last body that had been buried, and they burned the vital organs and ripped the vine from the soil. Dang. And suddenly the next Spaulding in line, who was a daughter, immediately got well from whatever this strange illness was and went on to lead a long and healthy life. So this is an interesting one. We discussed this on the show. It's really based on old superstitions about vampires and consumption and tuberculosis and all of that other stuff. It is a real spot, and it really did happen. It's actually a legend among this town, and it really did happen. They thought that this vine was taking this family out. They thought what was happening was that the vine would come into a new body, and it would infest it, basically, and the body was coming to life like a vampire would, and it would attack the next person in the family and send them to their grave, and then the vine would travel to them and kind of create this new monster. And it went on like this until they ripped the vine out. It is a real place. Yeah, Pam's put the picture up from the original show there. You can go and see the Dummerston vine area and the Spaulding family.
It's pretty wild.
Yep.
That was a fun show.
It's in East Dummerston, Vermont, in the Dummerston Center Cemetery at 914 East West Road, if you want to go see it. All right.
Okay, next one's Ginger with Notebook 2, page 18.
Okay. Well, everybody likes this. The second one today.
For sure.
Yep. Okay, hold on. Let me ship this. Let me ship this out of here because the folder is giving me heck. Okay. Okay, so this is some notes that I took out of Time Storms by Jenny Randalls.
Yay.
I was writing about her reality blinks. So, Time Storms by Jenny Randalls is exactly what it's called. She really researched missing time and weird time anomalies and the things that happen to you like right before you're going to experience something, like when you're cruising along in the car and then suddenly the radio goes off and everything goes dead quiet and your engine dies and then suddenly you see like green all around you. That's a time storm. So she also has a lot of names for other things in here, and these are my notes on kind of what she was calling things. The first thing I have here is reality blinks from page 84. The slight movement of objects. The world shifts into a slightly different version from the one you previously inhabited. Movement of objects may not always be ghosts, she questions. So her reality blinks is what we kind of call a glitch in the matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right?
Back before we called it that.
Yeah. The next one is synchronicities or meaningful coincidences. And we actually did synchronicities as our word of the week a number of weeks ago.
You did, yeah.
So it's a random set of chance events that cross the artificial horizon. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. What we might call the boggle threshold, that's what she called it, and imply that hidden rules may be at work to engineer such a grouping. Includes numbers, homing objects, recognizing like circumstances, and so on and so forth. And that's what I have here on this page, but it continues on later because the Time Storms book is just amazing. If you're interested in anything weird time-wise, read Jenny Randall's book. It's hard to get a hold of. Get yourself a used copy because they're expensive.
They are. Even the used ones are expensive now.
Yep. All right. Do we have any others?
I think that was it.
You think we're done? Holy cow.
Are done. And we're only 12 minutes over. Woohoo.
Only 12? Only 12? All right. Well, I think we've kept Jeff and Ken here long enough. Let's get this finished out. So, first of all, thank you to Jeff Provine and to Ken Rahmoeller for coming on with us tonight and talking about all things spooky and fun. If you want to catch up with Jeff, so if you're interested in the comic books, go to okiecomics.com and give him a little bit of that Kickstarter money for that next comic book. If you're interested in any of his books or his haunted tours in OKC or in Norman, go to jeffprovine.com. All that information is there. On Ken's side of things, check him out at monsterparanormal.com or on Monster Paranormal on Facebook. And of course, check out the Amok podcast. It happens at 7 p.m. every Tuesday night each week. They kind of rotate nights for whose state it is, but they're all on there. So it's a hoot. Go and check that out. And of course, meet them both in person if you'd like this year at the Paracon September 28th at the Caney Rec Center. Jeff was on at 11 a.m. with his on Oklahoma's Ghost Children. Then we break for lunch, and then Ken will be back at 12:50 with Boneyards. And of course, they'll be there all day long. You can get books from Jeff and get them signed, and you can go and tell your crazy ghost stories to Ken. He'll love them, right?
Absolutely,
I can tell ghost stories. I'll put a little bucket out there for donations for my ghost stories. Oh, can I plug also on my Facebook page and even on monsterparanormal.com? It's not much on the website, but we do have a video out there that we made, a documentary, 16 minutes. Called Spirits in the Garden.
Okay.
And that's our thing that we do, like I said, the Friday before Halloween with Missouri Botanical Gardens. It's pretty amazing.
And if you go to YouTube, you just have to punch in "spirits in the garden" and it will pull it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or you can
We'll
search
put-
Missouri Botanical. Either way,
Yep, correct.
Yeah,
I just got it
we'll
in
post
the-
a link. Yeah.
Yeah. it's posted.
All
so we're good.
right. So, do you have anything left you would like to plug, Jeff? Are we
I think
good?
that's just about everything. I'm looking forward to lots
Awesome.
and lots of ghost tours this fall.
Yay! We're excited
Yay.
too.
Awesome.
All
Much
right.
success.
So, yeah. All right. So, okay. Thank you to everybody who hung out and listened and hung out in the chats and played the notebook game with us. Our show notes can be found on our website, www.bordertownparanormal.com. Just go to that button up at the top and hit Bordertown Strange. We go live every other Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central, and we'll be back September 25th with an all-new show. And so keep it weird, keep it strange, and remember, it's all connected. Good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night. Thank you.
Yeah.